On a rainy October evening, 24-year-old Emily Lang vanished without a trace. She left her best friend's house just before 9 p.m. and never made it home. Her phone stopped pinging near an abandoned road. But no body, no signs of struggle, nothing. The police assumed she ran away. But her mother felt it in her bones. Emily was still out there trying to speak. 3 days later, Emily's mom got a call. No caller ID, just static. Then a faint voice whispered, "I didn't leave." She froze. The voice sounded like Emily. Terrified, she called the police. They dismissed it as a prank, maybe a glitch. But that wasn't the only strange thing that night. The family dog, who never barked, suddenly growled at the empty hallway, as if something was there. The search for Emily went cold fast. No new lights, no movement on her credit cards. But her room, untouched, felt warm, alive. Her younger sister swore she saw Emily's favorite necklace swing by itself. And her journal had a new entry, dated 2 days after she vanished. The handwriting matched perfectly. It read, "He's hiding me under the floor." But no one had been in that room. Emily's father was a skeptic. He thought grief was playing tricks on them. But when he opened her locked laptop, the journal app had one unsaved entry. It autoloaded, "He has the red lighter." Emily didn't smoke. Nobody in the family did. They searched the house. In the vent above her closet, a red Bic lighter sat alone, covered in dust and ash. It wasn't there before. That night, Emily's mom woke up choking. The air reeked of burnt roses and old perfume. She followed the scent down the hallway, right to Emily's room. Inside, nothing burned, but the mirror was fogged, with a handprint pressed from the inside. No one believed her. But she knew Emily was trying to tell her something. Something about fire and someone who smoked. Detectives questioned everyone Emily knew. One name stood out, Mason Ryland, an older coworker with a criminal past. When they asked about Emily, he smirked, said she was too nosy for her own good. No alibi, no emotion, and no reason to keep talking. But later that week, his neighbor reported a strange noise from his garage. A woman's voice screaming, then silenced. When police searched Mason's garage, it was spotless, unnaturally clean. The kind of clean you only see after a mess. No stains, no tools. Just bleach and one single scuff mark on the floor. As they photographed it, the camera glitched. The screen flashed white, then black. When the footage was recovered, a single frame showed Emily's reflection in the window. She was pointing downward. Beneath the garage was a crawlspace sealed tight. Mason claimed it was old plumbing access, but thermal scans said otherwise. One cold spot, just one, pulsed with energy. When they cut it open, they found nothing, just dirt. But that night, every photo taken of that crawlspace showed a shadow kneeling, long hair, bent head, and eyes wide open, staring. Emily's sister contacted a paranormal team. Skeptics but curious. They ran an EVP session in the garage. For the first minute, silence. Then one voice whispering, "Emily Lang." Clear, cold, followed by, "Find my shoe." Investigators were stunned. No one in the room had said her name out loud. And Emily had vanished wearing red sneakers. Only one had ever been recovered. Following the EVP, police researched the crawlspace. Deeper this time. They dug past the concrete slab and found a small cloth bundle scorched black. Inside, a red Converse shoe, perfectly matching the one found months earlier. But this one smelled like smoke and hair. It was buried with intent. and in the dirt beneath it etched by hand. "MR," she screamed so loud. When Mason was brought back in, detectives noticed a faint scar on his wrist. Circular, reddish, like a burn. He claimed it was from a cooking accident. But one officer remembered something odd. Emily's file said she carried a stun lighter for self-defense. High voltage, illegal. If she fought back, it could have left a mark like that. Mason never mentioned they'd ever touched. Emily's email was relogged months later. Somehow her draft box had one new message. Never sent. Subject line, "If I disappear, it's him." The body said garage, red lighter, he's angry. No metadata, no timestamp. And it was last modified after her death certificate was filed. Experts were baffled. No signs of hacking. But the words felt too specific, too real. To ignore. Detectives retraced Mason's movements. One weekend, October 14-16, was blank. No phone pings, no receipts. His truck GPS was wiped. But security footage from a diner 30 miles out caught him at 2 a.m. alone, covered in soot. When asked, he said he'd been camping. But the forest he mentioned was closed for fire risk that entire weekend. Forest rangers found a burned patch deep off trail. No official site. Just ashes and melted rubber fragments. It matched Emily's missing backpack. No bones, no fabric. But the trees nearby were scarred with heat. And in the dirt beside the site, someone had carved EL with a stick. The initials were backward as if seen in a mirror. Like someone was watching from another side. That night, Emily's sister heard static from her bedroom radio. It wasn't plugged in. Just buzzing, then a click. The dial turned by itself, slow, steady, landing on a dead AM station. A voice whispered, "Still here." She screamed. The power surged. Lights flickered. And on the wall above her bed, Emily's handprint, ash gray, appeared, fingers wide, pressed from the inside. A detective stayed late, reviewing Emily's case files. He heard a whisper, thought it was the radio. But it came from the evidence locker. He opened it, just sealed bags and notes. Then the light flickered, and a Polaroid photo slid off the shelf. It wasn't cataloged. It showed Emily inside Mason's garage. The date, October 15. But the timestamp had one error. It marked 3:07 a.m. in red. No police camera uses red timestamp. They're all white digital. And the film used for Polaroid was discontinued years ago. Experts checked, the ink wasn't from any known brand. They ran spectral analysis and found something chilling. The timestamp pigment contained trace ash and bone. Not synthetic dye. Someone or something developed that photo using burned human remains. Every time someone touched Emily's case file, they noticed the same thing. A faint scent, burnt roses and vanilla. It clung to the pages, transferred to their clothes. One rookie officer swore the file growled. They laughed him off until he quit the next day. He left a note that read, "She's not resting, she's lighting." And under that scribbled 5 times, "Floor, floor, 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 floor." Inspired by the message, police returned to Emily's room. They tapped every board. All sounded solid except one. Near her bed, a plank rang hollow. They pried it up, expecting storage. Instead, they found charred insulation and melted nylon. Pieces of a hoodie. Inside the pocket, Mason's key fob. How did it get under her floor? And why hadn't dogs caught the scent before? Forensics bagged the key fob. Something wasn't right. It was warm, not just room temp, but body warm. and Emily's mother swore she heard music the moment they lifted it. A tune Emily loved playing faintly in the walls. The forensics report confirmed. The fob's battery was dead. No signal, no function. But somehow it had recorded 8 seconds of audio. The audio was distorted, crackling. Then a girl's voice, breathless. "He's burying me under his truck, please." Then silent. They played it again and again. The pitch, cadence, it was Emily. But the device had no microphone. No memory chip. Experts said it was impossible. But that message was real. And it gave them a new direction. Mason's truck had never been searched properly. Mason's truck was clean, too clean. But under the truck bed, they found scrape marks. Like something had been wedged between the frame. They disassembled it and found black cloth, torn fingernails, and a button from Emily's coat. It was all soaked in bleach. But UV revealed a faint print. Her palm, pressed outward like she'd been trapped beneath. Emily's sister had a dream that same night. In it, Emily was crying, her hands banging on steel, screaming, "They can't hear me." When she woke, her hands were bruised. No explanation. She drew what she saw. It matched the inside of Mason's truck frame exactly. Same bolts, same rust pattern. She'd never seen it before. No one had until the truck was stripped. In Emily's room, her mirror cracked down the center. No impact, no tremor. It split while her sister stood watching. Etched across the glass, faint, foggy. The letters Mr. appeared. Not carved, but burned in condensation. It lasted 10 seconds. Then vanished. Police were called but found nothing. No prints, just one strange note. The mirror itself was 3 degrees colder than the room. Before police could arrest him, Mason vanished. Left his job, abandoned his house. No cards used, no phone signal. He became a ghost. But 2 days later, a note appeared on Emily's grave. In fresh ink, it read, "Let me go." The paper had no fingerprints. And the handwriting, identical to a note Emily wrote in 3rd grade. Police traced surveillance near Emily's grave. At 2:13 a.m., a figure stood by the headstone. Tall, hooded. When they enhanced the footage, the face glitched, blurring every frame. But behind him, a second shape flickered. Faint, translucent. Hair down, eyes wide. It looked like Emily, standing just inches behind her killer, watching him, unseen but never gone. After months of silence, the case was reopened. Too many signs, too many echoes. Emily's spirit refused to rest. An official task force was assigned. Paranormal evidence for the first time was allowed into the file. And deep in those documents was one final clue. A child's drawing. Emily's found in her old backpack. It showed a man with no face, standing by fire. The drawing was dated 3 years before Emily died. She was 21. It showed a garage, a truck, and a girl crying through floorboards. In the corner, a red lighter. Investigators were stunned. How did she draw this before she met Mason? Was it a warning or a premonition? Some said she always knew. Some believed she dreamed her death, long before it ever came. 6 months later, hikers found a red sneaker on a cliff near Ridge Hill. It matched Emily's pair. Inside was a rolled note. Plastic ribbed. The ink barely survived. But it read, "He pushed me here, I crawled away, then the fire." The handwriting matched Emily's. It proved she'd been alive longer than anyone thought. And it gave police their first physical link. To her final moments, Emily's case was no longer a mystery. It was a haunting. Her clues came through dreams, sound, scent, and ink from nowhere. She refused to fade, wouldn't be quiet, and she left one message carved deep on her old closet door. He lied, you believed, I burned. Underneath it, a single word appeared weeks later. Scorched into the wood. Justice. Police brought in a psychic, not standard, but desperation speaks. She stepped into Emily's room, paused, then screamed. Her knees buckled. She gasped so much smoke she couldn't breathe. They helped her outside. Later, she described a voice saying, "He's watching again." When asked who, the psychic drew a face. It looked exactly like Mason's mugshot, even though she'd never sign it. A tip led police to an abandoned van in Blackpine Woods. The plates were gone. Inside, scorched blankets, melted plastic, and a blood-stained hoodie. Next to it, a burnt notebook. Most pages unreadable. But one survived. It said, "She ran, I caught her, she begged." Handwriting analysis confirmed it was Mason's. The van was traced to his cousin, who hadn't seen him in months. Mason's cousin, Trevor, swore he hadn't spoken to him in years. But cell tower records told a different story. 5 calls the night Emily vanished. Lasted 2 minutes. Trevor said it was a butt dial. Then why did his voicemail record heavy breathing? And the words, "Trunk, move her." Trevor was arrested, but he refused to talk. He just kept mumbling. "She's still here, she watches me." Trevor's house was searched. His basement had a sealed wall, new bricks, fresh paint. Police broke through it. Behind was a crawl tunnel, leading to a burned mattress, chains, and torn tape. The area reeked of melted plastic. Forensics found skin flakes, and a nail still stained with blood. DNA confirmed it. Emily had been there, alive weeks after the search ended. From across the street, a neighbor's motion camera had a glitch. It activated for 12 seconds on a night it shouldn't have. The time matched when Emily's scent was last tracked. The clip showed a shadow moving across Trevor's lawn, then vanishing mid-step. Frame by frame, you could see something following behind it. Not a person, a flickering figure. And just before the camera shut off, it whispered, "Help me." Inside Trevor's chimney, behind loose bricks, police found a letter. Scorched edges but intact. It was addressed to "Whoever finds me." Inside, Emily detailed names, dates, and fear. She described Mason and Trevor. Said she'd overheard them. They were planning something bigger. "Not just me," she wrote. "They want silence." Her last line read, "If I die, tell my story. Don't let them hide what they've done." A local news crew aired a segment about Emily's reopened case. During the broadcast, viewers flooded the station with messages. Who was that behind the reporter? They checked the footage. No one had been on set. But for 3 seconds behind the anchor, a blurry girl stood motionless. Hair wet, skin gray. Eyes locked on the camera. Then gone. The station received 127 calls in 1 hour. Mason's old coworker came forward. Said Mason once showed him a scar, bragging, "She earned that." Days later, the man woke up screaming. His arm was blistered, same shape, same location. Doctors called it spontaneous combustion. But no fire touched him. He quit his job, left town, but not before whispering, "She touched me in the dream. She's not finished." Then he vanished without goodbye. 2 towns over, another missing girl was found. Same MO, fire, bleach, silence. Same red lighter placed beside the body. But this time, Mason wasn't the only suspect. The girl's last known contact, Trevor's ex-girlfriend, and in her apartment, police found a page from Emily's original journal. The same paper, same handwriting, but it had been missing for months, never released to the public. One officer woke to find his radio buzzing. It spelled out 3 numbers, GPS coordinates. He followed them. Deep in a ravine, he found a burned purse. Emily's ID inside. And beneath it, a scorched photo. Emily with another girl. Unknown. But she had the same bracelet as the second victim. It meant Emily knew her, or had met her, right before everything went dark. The bracelet was unique, handmade. Only 5 were ever sold. Police traced it to a market vendor. He remembered both girls. Said they came together weeks before Emily vanished. But Emily's family had never seen the second girl. No name, no digital trail, just the photo, and on its back one line scrawled in pencil. She trusted me, I failed her. Signed E.L. Emily had tried to warn her. It rained hard the night they buried the second girl. As detectives left the cemetery, one of them heard a voice, soft, carried on wind and water. Don't stop. He turned. No one there. But his coat was soaked except one part. His chest, right over his heart. Bone dry. Like someone had stood between him and the storm. Emily's family decided to move. While packing, they opened her old closet one last time. Behind the shelf, etched faintly in the wood, was a name they didn't recognize. Maya, and below it, scratched deeper. Tell her mom I'm sorry. They showed it to police. Turns out Maya was real. She vanished 3 months before Emily, and no one ever linked the cases until now. Police reopened 6 cold cases. All girls, all vanished within a 200-mile radius. Each site marked with a pin. When connected, the pattern formed a shape, a spiral, and right at its center was Mason's old cabin, abandoned since the 90s. But one window had fresh glass, and inside they found a wall, covered in photos. Emily was in the center, eyes cut out. The photos weren't just trophies. They were warnings. On the back of Emily's, someone wrote, "She always comes back, even dead." Police searched the cabin's attic, found candles, charred bones, and a recorder. It played one phrase on loop. She sees, she tells, she burns. It was Emily's voice. And with it came the realization. She wasn't just haunting. She was hunting. The recorder from Mason's cabin was taken to the lab. It had no power source, no memory chip. Yet it kept repeating. She sees, she tells, she burns. Until midnight. Then it stopped. At the same moment, the evidence room lights blew out. Security footage turned black, and a whisper echoed on the backup mic. She's not done yet. The voice didn't match Emily. It was deeper. A third girl was reported missing. Same age, same county. Her last location, a gas station where Trevor once worked. Security footage showed her entering, then glitching. For 4 seconds her body flickered, then vanished frame by frame. When police enhanced the image, they saw Emily's reflection in the freezer glass. Mouth open, arms raised, like she was trying to scream. A bystander's photo from that gas station revealed a man. Faded hoodie, head turned. He wasn't visible on security footage, only in the phone image. His face was half lit, and looked like Mason, but older, hollow. Experts called it a compression error. But one detail stood out. He had burn scars on both hands, and a red lighter tucked behind his ear. In the alley behind the gas station, someone tagged a wall. Spray paint white. It simply said Emily Lang never left. But no cameras caught it being done. And the paint tested positive for calcium ash from human bone. The wall was later power washed, but the name returned every night at 3:07 a.m. Fresh, always the same, until the third girl's body was found. A child playing near Ridge Hill fell into a covered well. He survived, but at the bottom police found bones. 2 bodies. One was the third girl, the other unknown, but clutching her hand was a melted bracelet, identical to Emily's, and scratched on the inner wall. They drown in silence. Forensics found nail marks. Deep and furious, someone tried to climb out, and failed. Emily's journal updated itself again. No internet, no login. But a new line appeared. Her name was Kara, 4th in line. Police searched missing persons. Kara Wills, age 23, vanished last year. Unsolved. Same county. No known link to Emily. Until her friend came forward. Said Kara once worked a summer job with Mason in that same cabin. The spiral pattern now had 4 points. With 4 known victims, police drew new lines. The spiral wasn't random. It was a trap leading inward. Each girl lived closer to Mason's old cabin. Emily was the second farthest. The unknown skeleton from the well was likely the first. The center of the spiral held something. Something Mason wanted to bury. And Emily wanted them to find. Beneath the cabin there was a crawl space. But deeper in the foundation, a cement door sealed with steel bolts. No key, no lock visible. Just a symbol. A spiral burned into stone. When they touched it, the lights shorted, and one word was heard on the audio recorder. Open. They brought in tools, and behind that door was everything Emily had been screaming to show. The room was circular, walls covered in burnt fabric and melted candles. In the center, 5 chairs, 4 chained, 1 overturned. Each had initials carved in wood. L. K.W. Maya, unknown, and on the floor drawn in ash. Truth burns cleaner than bleach. A symbol flickered under UV, a date. October 15. The night Emily vanished. As forensics began photographing the spiral room, 1 candle flickered on. No match, no spark. Just a flame. It burned blue. Then the recorder clicked. A child's voice whispered, "Tell them I fought." Then silence. No one had touched the tape. No one had children nearby. And the voice matched a missing girl from 3 years before. One no one had linked to Mason. Until now. That night the precinct's fire alarm blared. Every floor evacuated. Smoke everywhere. But when checked, nothing burned. The alarm, it wasn't connected. Had no battery. Just melted plastic inside. But one thing stood out. Emily's case file was pulled from the cabinet. And beside it, a note still smoking. "You're close." The fire marshal quit the next day. Said a voice whispered through the smoke. "Don't stop." The bones found in the well were reanalyzed. Old records missed something. Microscopic grooves showed teeth. The victims had been gagged with cloth soaked in bleach. But one had bitten back, and under her fingernails. Skin, not Mason's. Trevor S. The truth unraveled fast. Mason was the face, but Trevor was the hand. and Emily's final journal entry reflected that. One word. Both. A reporter covering the case received a package. No return address. Inside a USB drive. It had one folder. Labeled Confession. Dozens of voice memos. Male voices trembling. One said, "She said she'd follow me even after." Another, "They said she was just a girl, but she burns." The reporter turned it over. The police, and disappeared 2 days later. Inside the spiral room, investigators scraped the blackened walls. Under layers of ash, dozens of names appeared. Etched deep. Some were confirmed missing. Others were never reported. But all were women. And next to each name, a number. Emily S. was 23. No one knew what it meant. Until a fresh name appeared days later. Number 24. The girl who'd just gone missing. Detectives updated the spiral map. Added name 24. But something was wrong. The pattern had shifted, expanded. New dots, new towns. The center was no longer the cabin. It moved, and now pointed to a new structure. An abandoned school condemned in 2002. And on its front gate, freshly spray-painted in red. Emily says you. The ghost wasn't finished. She was one step ahead. The abandoned school, Westridge Prep, was closed after a fire in 2002. But when police searched the archives, no records existed. No enrollment, no blueprints. As if it had been erased. Neighbors said they remembered children. But no names. Only a girl who screamed during storms. Inside the school, on the old chalkboard, was one word written fresh in white. Emily. Blueprints showed the school had 2 floors. But a hidden stairwell near the janitor's closet led down. Deeper. Into concrete. It wasn't on any plans. The basement reeked of smoke and rust. On the walls, children's drawings. Scourged, and in the center, a chair. Tied, burnt at the legs, with 23 carved deep in the floor. Emily had been here. And maybe others too. Behind a loose tile in the basement, they found it. A scorched plastic card. Westridge Staff ID. Name M. Ryland. Year 2001. Photo young, smiling. He'd worked here, long before any records showed it. The school was more than a job. It was a beginning. And behind the ID, a torn class photo. Emily's face was there. As a child, Emily's parents found an old shoebox. Photos from 2nd grade. One caught their eye, a field trip. Westbridge School. But Emily never went there. They were sure. Yet she stood in the photo. Right in front of Mason. He was chaperoning. Behind her, circled in pen, was the word. Start. They flipped the photo. On the back, she never forgot what he said. Tucked away in the attic, Emily's drawing box held dozens of sketches. One stood out. A spiral of faces. All screaming. At the center, a man with no eyes. Each drawing was dated. 2002. The year of the fire. But she never talked about it. Never showed anyone. Until now. One sketch was labeled basement chair. It matched the one police just found perfectly. A retired teacher came forward. Said she remembered Emily. Bright, quiet. But something happened on a stormy day in 2. Emily screamed when a fire drill rang. Said he was coming. When asked who, she went silent. Then refused to return to school. The teacher was later fired for pushing the issue. But she kept Emily's last homework. It read, "Don't trust the man with the lighter." The 2002 fire at Westridge was blamed on faulty wiring. But firemen at the time recalled something else. No source, just flash ignition like an accelerant. And one survivor, a janitor, swore he saw a man flee. Red hoodie, burnt hands. The same man from the gas station photo. When asked to testify, he vanished, left only a voicemail. She warned me I didn't listen. While reviewing audio from the school's basement, the team caught interference. At first just static, then a voice soft, broken. They forgot us, he lit it. Another voice whispered, I was number 7. Each time they played it back, a new sentence appeared, and with each voice a chill swept the room. It wasn't just Emily down there. It was every girl he tried to erase. A hidden file room behind the school office revealed a scorched cabinet. Inside, partial rosters, each list charred at the edges. But some names remained. Emily's, Cara's, Maya's, and 3 more girls now missing. All attended one special session. Room 3B. But that room no longer existed. Only a scorch mark on the floor, and melted hinges on a frame that once held a heavy steel door. The custodian's logbook had one last entry for room 3B. Date October 14, 2002. Initials MR. No work order. Just a note. Checked for damage, sealed per instruction. But no supervisor signed off. And no one could recall what damage meant. Yet the charred door frame showed signs of extreme heat, and something clawing from the inside. They found fingernail traces in the steel. On the anniversary of Emily's disappearance, every street camera near Westridge School blinked out. 10 blocks went dark. Power surged, then returned. When footage was restored, only one clip remained. A shadow sprinting through the hallway, hair streaming behind her. The frame glitched. Then, the same shadow appeared inside the police station, standing by the evidence locker. And the whisper returned. I showed you, keep looking. Outside the station, officers found a single item on the steps. Emily's hairpin, rusty, bent, but confirmed by DNA swab. It hadn't been logged before, hadn't been touched in years. Yet here it was, placed deliberately. Beneath it on the stone, a soot handprint, as if pressed there while leaving. She wasn't just giving clues anymore. She was walking the halls with them. In the forensic archive room, one sealed bag burst open. Inside, the red Bic lighter. Cold, unused since day 1. But now it had fresh fingerprints. None matched Mason or Trevor, but one print did match someone declared dead in 2003. A girl named Jess. Another student from Westridge. Another victim. Emily wasn't the only ghost. They were all trying to be heard. Emily's old bed frame was removed during a house remodel. Underneath it, compacted dust and hair, and a layer of ash. Thick, too thick for time alone. Buried in it, bone fragments and paper scraps. Forensics confirmed. They were from a fire at Westridge. How did they get there? Someone placed them. Someone brought them home. Or maybe Emily brought the fire back with her. With 24 victims now suspected, police recalculated the spiral. It wasn't a pattern. It was a clock. Each girl vanished closer to the center. And the center kept moving. Emily wasn't lighting them randomly. She was warning them. Another girl would go missing. Soon, unless they stopped it. And on the latest case board, a post-it note appeared overnight. 25. She's not safe. Take. Detective Marlowe, late on the case, missed roll call. No answer at home. His cruiser was found near Westridge. Keys still in the ignition. Radio humming static. Dashcam showed him leaving the car, walking toward the school's back gate. Then nothing. The last sound recorded. A woman's voice whispering, "You're next." The timestamp, 3:07 a.m. The same time Emily vanished. In the station's evidence room, Marlowe's nameplate fell off his locker. Behind it, blood. Fresh. Typed O negative. His blood type. Inside the locker was a drawing. Crayon on old paper. It showed a stick figure in a chair. Fire all around. Above it, the number 25. Below it, "She warned you. You didn't listen. Now one of yours." All station cameras shut down at once. Every file wiped. Hard drives melted from inside. It confirmed it wasn't power-related. It was internal. Triggered. Only one clip survived. Grainy hallway footage. For half a second, a girl stood by Marlowe's desk. Hair soaked, shoeless, eyes wide. Emily. She looked straight into the lens, then disappeared into static. When detectives re-entered the briefing room, they found the map had changed. A new marked dark gray ash appeared near Lake Horace. No one had touched it. No prints. And where the ash fell was an old farmhouse. Abandoned. Condemned. But one thing made it different. The deed owner listed in 2001 was Mason Ryland. And the file said one word. Training. The farmhouse smelled of sulfur and wet ash. Rooms stripped bare. One bedroom held chains bolted to the floor. A fireplace burned cold. But inside, Emily's scarf, charred, wrapped around a recorder. Press play, and her voice cracked through. "He made us listen. He made us choose." Then a scream, and another voice, male, hissing. "Silence or fire. They always choose wrong." A psychic re-entered the spiral room at Westridge. She placed her hand on the east wall, then collapsed. When revived, she said only this: "They're still here. In the walls." Engineers scanned the foundation. Found strange cavities just wide enough for a person. Inside one, a girl's shoe, tied with a red ribbon. Inside it, a tooth, still warm. Every chalkboard in Westridge now bore the same number, 25. Written in ash. It couldn't be scrubbed. Painted over, it reappeared. On desks, windows, even inside squad cars parked nearby. Like a countdown, and each time it showed up, someone went missing. Now it was on a newborn's hospital wristband, whose mother once attended Westridge. Emily's reach wasn't ending. It was expanding. Trevor reappeared at a church miles away. Burned, ranting, screaming about fire and ghosts. He collapsed at the altar. Doctors sedated him. Before losing consciousness, he muttered. She dragged him into the floor. "She's not done with me." His feet were covered in ash. His eyes bloodshot, and under his fingernails, charcoal flakes. He hadn't been alone. From the hospital archives, a sealed letter surfaced. Dated 2003. Signed by Jess, the girl whose fingerprint was on the lighter. It was a confession. She said Mason trained them, broke them, and that one escaped. She knows everything, the letter read. She remembers. The last line. She will burn us back to the truth. It was postmarked, 3 days after Jess's official date of death. A retired judge came forward. He admitted Emily's family begged for help. Weeks before she disappeared. but the court tossed it. No proof. He said her mother wept. Said she heard Emily in the walls. Now 2 decades later, the judge's house burned down. No arson trail. Only this. His name carved in his bedroom wall. Beside it, she screamed. You slept. At an antique store near Ridge Hill, a porcelain doll began ticking. It wasn't a clock, wasn't wired, but the sound grew louder. Staff opened the base. Inside, Emily's earring, and a slip of paper with today's date. No more delays, it read. The number 25 was scratched into the doll's eyes, as if something, or someone, was counting down, louder every second. At Trevor's hospital bedside, a priest sat praying. He later claimed he heard a girl whisper. He helped them. He watched. The voice came from under the bed. When he looked, nothing. But the words repeated, until he wrote them down. And in the morning, those words were tattooed into Trevor's back. Raised, red, and burning hot to the touch. Emily's email pinged one last time. No login, no device, but a draft appeared. Stop waiting, go now, basement. It vanished 30 seconds later, but not before syncing with 3 detectives' phones. They arrived at Westridge. Basement door ajar. Inside, new ashes. Still warm, and in them scrawled by finger. 3 steps left. 2 more truths. Then the fire comes. Hidden behind the spiral wall was a recording device. From the early 2000s. Still intact. It played Mason's voice. Trevor's getting sloppy. The girls remembering. We may have to burn it all again. Then laughter, and Emily's voice faint, angry. Not this time. The recorder burst into flame. But not before one last click. The tape rewound itself. Waiting for one more play. On the stroke of 3:07 a.m. Westridge burst into flames. But no source. No accelerant. Just fire from the inside out. No one was hurt, but the building was reduced to ash. In the rubble, 25 stones remained, each carved with a girl's name. And at the very center, one message burned into the ground. She burned. Now we all remember. After the fire, forensic teams sifted the ruins. The ashes moved unnaturally, drifting without wind. Then someone heard it. Whispers, names, each one a girl who vanished. When the lead investigator lined closer, the ashes formed a word. Mason, then Trevor, then Judge. The list was longer than anyone imagined. Emily wasn't just naming killers. She was naming the ones who let it happen. The retired judge who ignored Emily's plea was found in his bathtub. Water cold, skin blistered as if from steam. But the heater was off. No burns in the tub. Just on him. On the mirror, the word silence had reappeared. Etched in soot. No forced entry. Just a scorched business card. The name, Mason Ryland, and a handwritten note. She asked, "You refused." From the spiral room, one recorder survived. It powered on without batteries. Rewound itself. Then played. Mason's voice. "They think ghosts talk." She screams. Then Emily's voice cut through. "You'll burn with me." The tape snapped, but not before capturing one final sentence. A third voice unfamiliar. She's not the only one watching now. They ran a voice match. It was the first victim. From 2002. Trevor's heart stopped at 3:07 a.m. No trauma, just pure terror. Hospital cameras caught his final minutes. He sat upright, eyes wide, mouthing something. Doctors enhanced the footage. He said, "She's here. She knows." Then flatline. Nurses rushed in, found Ash handprints on his chest, and in his palm, Emily's earring. It had never been logged from evidence. A trucker snapped a roadside photo near Oregon, posted it online, didn't think twice, until someone noticed the face. It was Mason, gaunt, wild-eyed, hitchhiking. Behind him in the mirror of the truck, a second figure, pale, wet hair, Emily, not in the open, just a reflection, watching, as if tracking him. One comment under the photo read, "She's never far." 2 days later, a gas station Mason was spotted near exploded. No survivors, no fuel leak, no arson evidence. But the camera survived. Last frame, Mason walking inside. And beside him, blurry, Emily, no one else in the image. She wasn't trying to warn anymore. She was pulling him closer to judgment. And now, time had run out. On the police station steps, a notebook appeared overnight. Partially burned. Emily's, written in reverse. Every page said one thing. "He took me. You let him. Now I take back the fire." Last page had fingerprints. Fresh. Belonging to Marlowe, the missing detective. Meaning he'd touched it. Somewhere. Maybe still alive. Or maybe he was writing from the other side. In the middle of the night, Emily's sister sat upright. No dream. Just a feeling. The air smelled like burnt roses. And her phone lit up. One voice message. No number. Just, "I found him. He's afraid. It's almost done." Then silence. She knew the voice. Knew the rhythm. Knew the fury beneath the whisper. Emily was still speaking. And she was almost at the end. At 3:07 a.m., dozens reported strange lights over Ridge Hill. Not lightning, not weather, flashes red and white pulsing in a spiral. Witnesses swore they heard screaming. Not pain but rage. And from the hillside, one figure could be seen walking. Hair trailing, feet bare, through the smoke. Emily, heading toward the place where it all began. After analyzing all map data, detectives found an error. The true center of the spiral wasn't the school. Not the cabin. Not the farmhouse. It was a field. Empty. But beneath it, records showed a decommissioned shelter. Abandoned since 2001. Leased under a fake name, MR. And the shelter's name. Echo Facility. Emily's final memory had been buried below ground. Police broke through the hatch at the field site. Stairs led down 40 feet. No power, just old walls and hundreds of photos. All girls, some smiling, some tied. Emily was everywhere. Drawings, letters, clothes. One table held a melted radio. It clicked once. Then Emily's voice. "Truth is fire." And the spiral painted on the floor glowed under their flashlights. In fresh ash. In the far room of the Echo Facility, Detective Marlowe sat slumped. Alive, eyes open, mouth sealed with ash. When unbound, he said just one sentence. "She made me watch." His wrists were scarred with numbers. 1 to 24. Each burned in. But 25 was fresh. Not on him. On the wall behind him. Emily had kept him alive. As a final witness. From inside the shelter, police recovered one last device. A video camcorder. Inside, a tape. Unlabeled. It showed Emily bound. Speaking directly to camera. "If you find this, Don't let them rewrite me. She names names, describes places, cries once, then smiles, and says, truth haunts better than ghosts. The screen goes black, but her voice continues. Now let the fire speak. That night all spiral marks vanished. The number 25 stopped appearing. Emily's email shut down. And the clocks stopped flickering at 3:07 a.m. Like something had closed. But across town a mural appeared. A girl, walking away from fire. No artist claimed it. No paintbrush left behind. Just one message beneath the flame. She told her truth. Now we listen. Emily Lang was declared dead in 2019. But her story didn't end there. She named her killer. She led the evidence. She saved others from the same fate. Not with screams, not with violence, but with persistence, with fire, with truth. And though no grave holds her now, her message remains. I burned, but the silence burned worse. And the world finally heard her. A memorial was raised at Ridge Hill, 25 stones, 25 names, each carved in white marble. But 3 days later, it blackened, every name scorched from the surface. No accelerant, no weather damage, just ash and silence. The center stone, Emily's, cracked in half, and inside the fracture was a single word burned deep. Wide, not a statement, a challenge. A school near Ridge Hill reopened storage boxes from 2002. Inside, a class photo with no label. But the children were familiar. Emily, Cara, Maya, and in the far corner, someone had drawn red flames behind them. No student claimed it, but the ink tested positive for blood. Old, female, and beneath the photo etched by fingernail. We told you, but you erased us. Late-night radio across 3 counties glitched at once. All stations played the same voice. Softly, Seiko, Emily, I didn't run away. I was taken, then static, then silent. The FCC found no source. No tower interference. Just a single pulse like a heartbeat. From the site of the old Westridge basement, where the spiral had once ended. Now it beat again. One detective kept the case file. Even after it closed, he swore he heard her sometimes. In dreams, in flickering lights. He stopped sleeping, started drawing spirals. His last voicemail said, "She forgave me, but she won't stop watching." He disappeared 1 week later. Left behind a journal. Last page. I see her now. She sees everyone. At a park in Clearview, a child pointed to the fountain. There's a girl, she said. Parents saw nothing, but photos taken showed a reflection. Wet hair, sunken eyes. Emily, standing in the water. No one had spoken her name in years. But the photo went viral. Captioned only, "She's still looking." A detective in Montana reopened a cold case. Same method, same age round, same scent of roses and smoke. He had never heard of Emily Lang until a letter arrived. No return address. Inside, a photocopy of her last journal page. The words, "She wasn't alone." Handwriting matched Emily's. Postmark, stamped from her hometown. 3 days after the spiral ended. A man in Oregon walked into a police station. Said he kept seeing a girl in his dreams. Described her perfectly. Emily, but he'd never met her. Never seen her photo. He only remembered her eyes. And that she said one thing over and over. You know, he broke down. admitted to knowing Mason in 2002, and never said a word. In an alley in Berlin, graffiti appeared overnight. A white spiral, perfect, measured, and beside it a phrase in English. She's not local anymore. Tourists ignored it. Locals painted over it. But it returned. Same angle, same words, even across an ocean. Her message spread. Emily wasn't haunting a town. She was warning a world. A school dug up a time capsule from 2001. Inside, student letters, toys, photos, and one item that didn't belong. A red Bic lighter. Old, ash-covered, still warm. No fingerprints. No records of it ever being sealed. But inside the lid, scratched by pin. 25 is not the end. No student had written it. No teacher remembered seeing it buried. At a library, a blind student opened a book. Pages untouched for years. Inside, a braille message. Not part of the print. 4 words. She will not stop. The dots were real. Pressed into the paper by force. The book's title, Unsolved Crimes of the Midwest. Emily wasn't just speaking. She was adapting, finding ways to be heard. By anyone. During a power outage, a courthouse emergency light failed. But in courtroom 3, a candle lit itself. Security footage showed no movement. No match. The candle sat atop an old trial record. Emily's mother's original filing. Denied, dismissed, and now burned at the edges. Next to it, a slip of charred paper. One line. You heard me, but turned away. The family of victim 25 broke silence. Held a vigil. Spoke Emily's name. Said they felt her before the fire. Dreams, visions, a bracelet that showed up on the kitchen counter. After being buried with their daughter. They believe Emily brought her home. Piece by piece. So she wouldn't be forgotten. So none of them would. She remembered them, they said. Now we remember her. A sound engineer tested old frequencies used during the investigation. White noise, broken loops. One fragment stood out. In slowed pitch, a voice, Emily, sighing. He never worked alone. Then, new voices layered behind hers. Cara, Maya, Jess, others unknown. Saying one phrase together. They're still out there. The recording ends with a click. Then, laughter, not Emily's. A family walking near Ridge Hill filmed fireflies in the woods. Thousands, swarming, blinking, but when the video was played back, they blinked in perfect rhythm. A spiral forming, pulsing out from the trees. No one noticed it live. But under audio, a faint hum, and a whisper layered beneath. Look again. Emily had left her sign. In nature itself. In a small town school, a 10-year-old girl claimed Emily spoke to her. Said she drew pictures when she slept. Spirals, faces, fire. When shown Emily's photo, she said, "That's her. She told me not to forget." The girl's notebook was filled with names. The first 25. But the last page held a new one. A 26th. No one recognized it. Yet, 2 weeks later, a girl named Alyssa Harper went missing. Age 19. Same profile. Same red bracelet. Same last location near Ridge Hill. But this time she was found. Unharmed. Wandering in the woods. When asked what happened, she said only, "She told me to turn left." Said he was waiting on the right. And in her pocket was a photo of Emily. She'd never seen her before. Radio towers in 3 counties began pinging Morse code. Untraceable origin. It repeated the same sequence. THYRNOTDONE. Then silence. No system reported the broadcast, but one station recorded the frequency. The final pulse matched a signature from 2002. A distress signal, originally sent by a girl named Jess. Emily was speaking, but not for herself anymore. One morning, ash fell over Ridge Hill. No fire nearby, just white-gray flakes drifting from a clear sky. Tests showed bone fragments again, but no DNA. Just calcium and carbon. Pure, cleansed, and on one window ash gathered to spell. Still watching. Weather experts called it a fluke. Locals didn't. They stayed inside. Lit candles. Said her name. Like a prayer. A web page appeared. No URL. No server origin. Just black background. And Emily's photo. Below it, she was the first to fight back. The site logged 1.2 million visitors in 24 hours. But no one could share it. No link. It appeared, then vanished. Some claim they saw a live camera feed. A girl walking through smoke. Hair down, eyes forward. A former Westridge teacher died in her sleep. No trauma, but her pillow was soaked in ash. On her nightstand, a single sheet of notebook paper. Emily's handwriting. It read, "You knew he touched her. You said nothing." At the bottom, 25 spirals, drawn in a perfect grid. And one line underneath. No more hiding. We write the names now. All over the country, women began getting the same tattoo. A spiral, left facing. No text, no hashtags. They called it the Mark of the Warned. No one organized it. But it grew. One girl said, "Emily came to me in a dream. She didn't ask for justice. She asked for memory." The spiral wasn't a curse. It was a vow. A woman came forward anonymously. Said she was taken in 2001. Escaped before the spiral began. Too scared to speak. Until Emily found her. In a dream. Said, "I can only fight what you name." She gave dates, names, places. Everyone matched sealed records. She ended her statement with, "Emily was never alone. None of us were." Then she vanished. A biologist tested soot samples from Ridge Hill. Ran mitochondrial DNA tests. But what came back was strange. The ash held traces from 5 women. All from different bloodlines. Different towns. But one gene repeated. A rare sequence only seen once before. Emily's. Somehow, she carried them. Even in death. Bound by trauma. By fire. By truth. In northern Michigan, frozen lakes held spiral patterns in the ice. Satellite images confirmed them. No wind could shape that. No heat source below. Just patterns that glowed faintly under UV. Each spiral led to a name. And at the final ring, a small cross, labeled Ayel. Even nature seemed to remember. Even the cold couldn't silence her. An archivist restoring old VHS tapes from 2003. Heard whispering in the static. Played it in reverse. It formed words. She's not done. She's just farther now. Every glitch on screen resembled a spiral. Frames bent, then looped. At the very end, a freeze frame of Emily's face. Eyes closed, mouth moving, but no sound, as if she were praying. A senator held up Emily's photo during a live hearing. Said her case should have never gone cold. He demanded new federal laws for cold case tracking. Said, if ghosts have to speak for justice, "We've failed the living." The next day, his office got a letter. No return address. Inside, a red Bic lighter. And the words, "Don't let her speak again." Years later, a new school was proposed near the ruins of Westridge. Construction halted 17 times. Power failed. Equipment melted. Workers quit. On the first day of excavation, they found a spiral scorched into the earth. Still warm. No one touched it. They fenced it off. And at sunset, a girl was seen walking the edge. Shoeless, silent, Emily or someone else. Emily's digital journal, long inactive, updated again. No IP, no edits, just a new page. Chapter 2 begins. Beneath it, a list of names. Some known, some redacted, some unborn. The final entry. This time we all write. And at the bottom, a blinking cursor. Waiting, inviting. Whoever read it felt compelled to type. One word repeated. Remember. From satellite, a spiral bloom appeared in the Atlantic. Algae. Pollution. No. The color matched calcium traces. Scientists called it anomaly drift. But fishermen near the coast reported hearing a girl crying underwater, and sonar picked up a strange pulse. 3 beats, then pause, then 3 again. It matched the rhythm of Emily's final message. The fire was reaching deeper now. In a private collection, the last known photo of Emily hung on a wall. Framed, glass sealed, but one night it shifted. Her eyes looked left, the next day right, then forward, as if scanning. A hidden camera confirmed it. The image wasn't still. It was watching, and behind the glass, faint scratch marks began to form. One word again and again. Ready. At a middle school across the country, a fire drill began. Screams echoed before the alarm even rang. Teachers rushed to room 213. A girl was crying, not hurt, just pointing to the corner. She was watching me. No one was there. But the fire alarm glitched. Instead of ringing, it whispered one word through the speaker. Listen. In Ohio, a 5-year-old began drawing spirals. Every page, every corner. Parents thought it was a phase, until they asked her why. She said, because the girl says that's how we stay safe. They asked her name. She paused, then whispered, Emily. She'd never heard that name before. The drawings continued, each one tighter, sharper, pointing inward. A journalist wrote a full exposé on the Emily Lang case. 10,000 words. Verified. Archived. The next morning. Gone. Not hacked. Not erased. Every copy replaced by a blank file. One word remained in the metadata. Not yet. They tried again. And again. But every file ended the same way. With a timestamp. 3:07 a.m. At the ruins of the farmhouse, investigators set a dust trap. No wind. No animals. Just silent. By dawn, small footprints crossed the ash. Bare. Small. Each step burned slightly into the wood. Thermal cameras caught nothing. But audio sensors recorded breathing. Cycle. Then a whisper. Still walking. It wasn't a warning. It was a promise. In Florida, a couple reviewed footage from their baby monitor. One frame stood out. On the nursery wall, a glowing spiral, drawn in light. It faded after 1 second. The baby never cried, just stared at the wall, and smiled. That night they heard a voice through the monitor. She's safe now. For now. The baby's first word the next morning was Emily. A stone mason in Kansas found one block rejected by every project. He'd carved nothing into it. But after a thunderstorm, a name appeared. Emily Lang. Raised, not etched. The block stayed warm for days. He stored it away. But each morning it reappeared at his doorstep. Same spot, same glow. He finally left it outside. And it cracked itself. Open. During a July celebration, fireworks lit the sky. One burst stopped the crowd cold. Not a flower, not a star, a spiral, red and white. Perfect. Too perfect. It hovered longer than any firework should. Phones captured it. Videos froze. One frame showed a face inside the spiral. Eyes open, mouth silent. Emily. She didn't need fire to return. She just needed attention. A child psychologist treated 5 different patients. All drew spirals. All mentioned a girl in the walls. He dismissed it. Until one session, his recorder played back with interference. A second voice overlapped. Female, not the child S. Repeating, you left her. He checked the tape again. It was blank, except for one imprint burned in reverse. She forgave you, but we haven't. At a history museum, a 19th century quilt on display changed overnight. No tampering, but stitched into one corner. A spiral, in thread not matching the original. Under UV light, a name appeared. Lang. The curator fainted. She later said, she brushed my shoulder and whispered, add me back. Emily didn't want revenge. She wanted the record fixed. A small bookstore in Colorado caught fire. No signs of break-in. Just one section burned. True crime. Inside the ashes, one book survived. The Girls Who Were Erased. Unpublished. Written years ago. Its final chapter. About Emily Lang. No copies existed. But there it was intact. The timestamp on the security alarm. 3:07 a.m. Always. Before his death, Mason mailed one letter. Unaddressed. It arrived at a local news station. Inside, a single page. I see her now. In every flame. In every girl. I was the match. She was the fire. The paper self-ignited 5 minutes later. But one phrase reappeared in the ashes. Tell her I believe her now. No one ever saw Mason again. Parents playing static noise to calm their baby heard something else. A lullaby. Unfamiliar, but soft, and under it faint humming. When they recorded and slowed it, they heard words. I remember them. So they don't fade. The hum became a girl's voice. Emily, singing not to be saved, but to comfort, even in silence. She was still protecting someone. Amateur astronomers spotted a strange shadow on the lunar surface. Perfect spiral, too geometric to be natural. It stayed for hours, then vanished. NASA dismissed it, but frames captured the formation clearly. At the center, light flickered briefly. Anomaly, reflection, maybe. Or maybe Emily's fire reached farther than anyone guessed. Maybe truth doesn't stop where Earth ends. A pirate radio signal interrupted 5 national broadcasts. Just once, a voice calm, clear, female. You heard me. You saw me. Now say my name. Then static. Then silent. The FCC couldn't trace it. But millions heard it. And all across social media, the same phrase trended. We see you, Emily. Not as a ghost, but as a legacy. Somewhere a child picked up a crayon. No prompt, no story, just instinct. She drew a spiral, then placed a dot at its center. The teacher asked what it meant. She said, "She's resting now." That night, no static, no ash, no whisper, just quiet, not gone, just still, because sometimes even the fire needs to sleep until someone forgets again. A group of teens camped near Ridge Hill, built a fire pit, lit nothing, yet flames appeared. No smoke, no heat, but shadows danced like something was burning. One girl whispered, "She's watching." Her phone recorded the moment. In the clip, no flames, just a figure behind the group, standing still, eyes open. Emily, there and done. Gone. A podcaster released a deep dive on Emily Lang. 5 episodes, 1 hour each, within 24 hours removed from every platform. No strikes, no notice, all backups corrupted. Listeners remember one quote. "She wasn't trying to haunt us. She was trying to warn us." After it disappeared, the podcaster posted a single image. A spiral, drawn in soot on their front door. A family replaced every smoke alarm in their house. Each new device failed at 3:07 a.m. No fire, no heat, just one beep followed by whispering. The pattern wasn't random. When mapped, the alarms formed a spiral around the house. On the ceiling, dust settled in her name. One word only. Emily, as if she was circling, watching, protecting, or waiting. A grieving mother received a postcard. No stamp, no return address. Just 2 words. She mattered. The handwriting matched Emily's. But the mother didn't know her. Never followed the case. Yet her daughter had vanished in 2003. The ink was fresh, the paper slightly singed. She kept it in a frame, and every time she passed it, it felt warm. At sunrise, a spiral appeared on a beach. No footprints, no tire tracks, just perfectly carved rings, 25 of them. Locals said it wasn't tides. Tourists said it wasn't wind. One child stood in the center and said, "She's not mad anymore." By noon it was gone. But under infrared, the pattern burned faintly in the sand. Still hot, still alive. In a trauma center, a soundproof therapy room began humming. Low, steady, no source, but the frequency matched Emily's old EVP tapes. A nurse recorded it, played it back. It whispered. She left light in the dark. No one else heard it. But every time a new patient entered the room, they cried, not in fear, in relief, as if someone was holding them. In a vigil for missing girls, candles were placed randomly, until a drone captured the view from above. They weren't random. They formed a spiral. Each flame matched a name. All 25. At the center, a 26th candle. Unlit, the parents said. She always leaves space for the next one, just in case. But that night, the unlit candle ignited by itself. An anonymous man mailed in a full confession. He witnessed Mason drag Emily into the woods. Said he was too afraid to stop it. He wrote, "She screamed my name, and I ran, before police could locate him." He was found, burned in his own car, the ignition untouched. In the ash beside him, a torn photo. Emily, looking right at the lens. For the second time, cameras caught a spiral in the sky. This time larger, brighter, seen in 5 countries. Experts blamed satellites. Locals blamed nothing. They stood outside, hands over hearts. Children drew circles in chalk. And on one phone camera, the light flickered to form letters. Still here. Emily's voice never needed volume. Just memory. In time. At a university, a locked archive opened during a thunderstorm. No access code. No power. Inside, a sealed box labeled EL. Archivists swore they never received it. Inside, photos, journal pages, burnt tape. All matching the Emily Lang case. Every item catalogued. Dated after her death. The box pulsed with heat. And one line appeared on the lid. This was never over. A grown woman came forward. Said she was in room 3B in 2002. Didn't speak for years. Now she remembers. Everything. She held my hand through the dark. Emily saved her. Pulled her out before the fire spread. And whispered, "They'll forget me. Don't let them." She hasn't. And now, she speaks for her. One memory at a time. A young woman woke with a spiral mark on her shoulder. No ink. Just skin raised, faintly glowing. Doctors had no answer. It faded in 2 days. But while it lasted, she dreamed of fire, of chains, and of a girl who looked just like her. Sighing, "You're safe now. I found you." It was Emily. She didn't just haunt. She healed. Emily's digital journal updated once more. Last page. Final words. "You saw me. You followed. You believed." Then a blinking cursor. No more entries followed. No IP trace. No metadata. The account deleted itself at 3:07 a.m. But the words were screenshotted by thousands. Now printed on walls. Tattooed on backs. Carved into stone. She ended her chapter, but left the pen. For us, astronomers charted a new star pattern. Not random, not cosmic. It formed a spiral. Too symmetrical. Too perfect. It lasted one night. Then shifted. No star changed. But their positions bent. One expert said, "It's like something rewrote the sky." Emily didn't live to draw constellations. But somehow, her truth etched itself in the stars, where no one could erase it. A final fire broke out in the woods. Vast, violent, unnatural. But before it spread, rain poured. No clouds, just water. And inside the ash line, a perfect spiral remained untouched. Firefighters found one object at the center. Emily's red shoelace. Still tied, still whole, as if she stood there herself. And said, "No more. Not to haunt, but to protect." In a city far from Ridge Hill, a woman saw movement in her kitchen window. Thought it was a reflection. But in the photo she later took, a girl stood outside, not looking in, looking back, like she was watching someone else. A shadow behind the woman. Emily wasn't haunting anymore. She was guarding, and the things she fought weren't finished. During a thunderstorm, raindrops formed a spiral on a car windshield. No wipers, no oil, just water turning inward. And at its center, a fogged handprint. No one had touched the glass. But as the rain fell harder, a voice came through the radio. "I'm still here, but quieter now." The driver didn't speak. He just drove and listened. A cassette left in a public library played by itself. Backwards, repeating 3 words. "Not your fault." Staff checked the player. No power, no tape inside. Yet the message continued. Someone had been carrying guilt. And Emily had let them go. Some ghosts scream. Others whisper. She forgave, even when the world never did. At a high school, students entered to find a chalk spiral on the board. No teacher had drawn it, but around it 25 small names. All correct, all victims, written in different handwriting. When erased, it reappeared the next day. But this time, with no names, just one line beneath it. No more. The room stayed quiet after that. Like even memory. Needs silence. Sound engineers recorded background noise from a wind tunnel. Heard something unusual. A girl humming. The melody same as Emily's lullaby. Slowed, the audio revealed a sentence. You'll know me by the smoke. The tunnel was sealed. No microphones had picked it up. But the file was real. Emily's voice was coded into the noise. Carried by air, not by speaker. A woman coding in a hospital suddenly stabilized. Her heart monitor pulsed in a spiral pattern. Doctors had never seen anything like it. When asked what she felt, she whispered, "She touched my hand." The woman had been declared dead. For 43 seconds. She said she saw Emily. And Emily said, "Go back. They still need you." So she did. A child's toy tape recorder, stored since 2003, started playing. No batteries, no tape, but a voice echoed softly. We mattered, even when they said we didn't. Then silence. The toy melted in the parent's hand. No scorch, no smoke, but the air smelled of burnt roses. The scent Emily always left behind. Emily had no official grave. Just a family plot with no marker. Until one day, a spiral was carved into the stone. No tool marks. No cameras caught it. Inside the spiral, 25 stars. And below it, truth doesn't die. The family didn't erase it. They added one line. Thank you, Emily, for remembering all of them. Not everyone saw Emily. Not everyone dreamed her name. But one woman, years later, said she never felt haunted. She just felt known, like someone had seen her pain, before she ever said it. And one night, her mirror fogged over, not with a face, but with a word. Saying, sometimes that's all Emily needed to say. Years later, people still draw spirals. On walls, in notebooks, on skin. It means many things now. Justice, memory, survival. But to those who know, it means Emily, the girl who spoke louder in death than the world ever let her in life. The one who wasn't believed, until she made sure. No one could ignore her again. Somewhere a candle lights itself each night at 3:07 a.m. It never melts, never dims. No one claims to own it. But people visit, sit quietly, say her name once, then leave. The flame never flickers. Like it's listening, not burning, just there. Because sometimes the fire isn't for pain. It's for remembering. One last whisper was caught on a retired detective's voicemail. He never answered it, but he kept the recording. The voice said, "You heard me. You tried. Thank you." Then a breath, and silence. It was softer than her other messages. Not pleading, not warning, just peace. That detective sleeps through the night now. First time in years. One by one, the spirals stopped reappearing. No more lights, no more static, no more names. Just quiet. Emily never said goodbye. She never had to. She had been heard, believed, remembered, and now she could rest, or maybe just sleep, until someone else needed her. Because girls like her don't disappear. They wait. Emily's childhood room was never torn down. Paint chipped, windows dusty, but the air inside, always warm. No heater, no sun, just warmth, like someone still sat there, like a piece of her, never left. Visitors feel it. Say they smell something sweet, like roses, and every so often, the door creaks open. At exactly 3:07 a.m., Emily's story lives online. In books, in memory, but it also lives in something deeper. Each year on October 15, every clock in Ridge Hill ticks once at 3:07 a.m. Even the broken ones, even digital. A pulse, like a heartbeat, like a reminder. That time didn't erase her. It carried her all the way here. In a drawer behind old receipts, Emily's mom found a letter. Unstamped, unsent, dated 3 days before Emily vanished. It read, "I'm scared, but I believe I'll be okay. Because even if they silence me, someone will listen." She signed it, Love M, and beneath it, one line written in pencil later. They did listen. Sweetheart, they finally did. At public events, vigils, or panels, organizers leave one chair empty. No sign, no flowers, just space for the girl who wasn't believed, for the girl who didn't stay silent, for Emily. And every year, someone new asks, "Who's the chair for?" The answer never needs to be spoken, because somehow, they always know. Emily's whispers stopped, but the voices didn't. Now girls speak louder. Now stories are kept. Now silence isn't safe anymore. Her name isn't a mystery. It's a movement. It's what happens when someone dares to remember. We tell her story, so others don't become one. She spoke through ash. We speak through air. And she's still listening. Emily's fire didn't just burn. It spread, lit matches in courtrooms, in bedrooms, in notebooks and nightmares. Until one day, it wasn't just her fire. It was ours. To speak, to listen, to believe. Because when they asked, who solved the case, the answer wasn't police. It wasn't psychics. It was a girl who refused to vanish. Emily is quiet now. But if the spirals ever return, if the smoke ever thickens, if someone whispers her name in fear, we'll know she's not haunting, she's warning. And this time, we'll believe her the first time. Because we owe her that. Because truth doesn't rest. It watches, it waits, and sometimes it walks barefoot through fire, just to be heard. Parents tell their daughters about Emily now. Not to scare them, to teach them that fear is not weakness, that silence is not protection, that speaking up is survival. She's no longer a secret. She's a story, and stories live longer than any fire, longer than any lie. Because we don't just remember Emily Lang. We carry her in every voice that refuses to fade. Laws changed, offices opened, cold cases warmed by pressure, by public memory, by the fire she started. No one called it paranormal anymore. They called it overdue. What they once ignored became policy. What they once silenced became headlines, all because a ghost refused to stay quiet. Emily never needed a body to have impact. She just needed a world that finally listened. Emily didn't just haunt her killer. She haunted the system. Every closed file, every ignored report, every girl who begged for help and got silence in return. She burned through walls, through fear, through time, until there was no choice but to follow the path she lit. one ember at a time. She didn't escape the fire. She walked through it, so we wouldn't have to. Some call Emily a ghost story. Others call her a warning. But those who know, call her what she really is. Evidence. Proof. The truth no one wanted. Not a legend. A record of what happens when one girl refuses to disappear. She solved what others wouldn't. She spoke when others couldn't. And now, she stays written, where no one can erase her again. There will be another girl. Somewhere, one day, she'll speak, she'll whisper, and the world will face a choice. Listen, or repeat the silence. This time we'll remember Emily. We'll believe faster, act louder, hold tighter, because every time we say her name, we build a world where fewer girls vanish and more make it home. Breathing, she was real, not just a ghost, not just a signal in the dark. Emily Lang lived. She laughed, she feared, she fought, and when death came for her, she turned it into a message, one none of us will forget, because her name doesn't belong to mystery. It belongs to memory, to history, to justice. She was real, and no, she's never leaving. You heard her. You followed the spiral. You saw what she burned down, and what she lit up. So now, what will you carry? The silence, or the fire? Because Emily didn't leave a curse. She left a torch, and someone has to keep it burning. To tell what happened, to say her name, to make sure no girl ever burns alone again. She wasn't a spirit. She wasn't a myth. She was a girl, forgotten, then remembered, heard, but never erased. And now, because you stayed, because you listened, her name burns brighter than ever. Say it once more. Let it echo. Her name was Emily Lang, and she solved her own murder.